contemplando la ciudad. ¿Por qué te vas?
The 1976 Spanish psychological drama Cuervos, directed by Carlos Saura, is a coming-of-age story about a girl named Ana who recounts her memories of her mother who had died from an illness at a young age. Aside from the dysfunctional family dynamic in the film, the major themes that I will be focusing on are the gender roles of women and society's expectations of motherhood as it relates to Francisco Franco's regime, or what is better known as Francoism. For the understanding of how greatly Francoism had influenced the actions of the characters in the film, it's important to note that this movie was filmed while Francisco Franco was on his deathbed. So what is Francisco Franco's relevance to this film? Well, Francisco Franco was a Spanish general who ruled over Spain from 1939 till his death in 1975. During his rule over Spain, Franco was considered to be a caudillo, which is a type of leader who wields both military and political power. However, in America, we believe in the separation of power and considers his actions to be that of a dictator's. However, Franco's regime differed from that of the typical tyrant of his time. This is due to his actions of instilling a cult personality in his people, and this national movement became the governing institution for life in Spain. However, before getting into all that, let's start by getting an understanding of Carlos Saura as a director and filmmaker. As a Spanish director, Carlos Saura uses symbols and metaphors such as Ana's upbringing and the actions of the adults in the film to critique Francisco Franco's regime. Like most directors, Carlos Saura is influenced by his environment. In his case, that would be Spain. Instead of falling a victim to his circumstances, Saura chose to rebel against it through his career, which spans over half a century, making Carlos Saura one of Spain's most renowned filmmakers, with several of his films winning international awards, including Cuervos. Over the years, Carlos Saura has become known for his cinematic treatment of emotional and spiritual responses to repressive political conditions, such as let me think of an example. Francisco Franco's ruling over Spain? Yup, that definitely counts as repressive political conditions. Anyway, Cuervos is emblematic of Carlos Saura's film style and reputation because of the countless symbols and references in the film that refers to Franco's regime. Like Cuervos, all psychological dramas explore the spiritual, emotional, and mental lives of the characters. As stated by AllMovie, a film website, the characters in this genre will have internal conflict as well as be a source of conflict themselves. Usually, this is presented with the use of expressionistic aesthetics such as distorted reality, dream sequences, or non-linear narratives. Typically, the cause is rooted in an event or trauma from the protagonist's past, as seen in the character Ana. Also, in psychological dramas, the conflicts these characters incur will either be worked through or repressed and ignored to the point of mental or physical destruction, similar to how Ana believes that her father's mistreatment of her mother and her Aunt Paulina's fascist views and ideals are reasons which led to her mother's death. Instead of working through the resentment she feels towards her father and aunt, Ana lets it build up until she takes matters into her own hands by attempting to poison and kill her aunt. Furthermore, Cuervos is characterized as a psychological drama because key characteristics of this genre can be found in the film and prominently in its protagonist, Ana. Moving along, as I mentioned previously, the major themes that I will be discussing in my analysis of Cuervos are the gender roles of women and society's expectations of motherhood as it relates to Francisco Franco's repressive dictatorship in Spain. Cuervos is a representation of Spain's societal gender roles of women, as well as their expectations of motherhood during the Franco regime. Like Ana's mother, Maria, in Spain at the time, most if not all women with a family became trapped by motherhood and their duties as a wife. In the film, Maria had a career as a talented pianist. However, when she married Ana's father, she was forced to give it up in order to take care of the children, as stated by Ana in this scene.
Abandonó definitivamente el piano para dedicarse en cuerpo y alma a sus hijas, a nosotras.
So how does Maria become trapped in motherhood? Well, Maria is mentally and physically trapped in the duties and responsibilities of motherhood because of the societal gender roles of women in the film, which created society's expectations of what mothers and women in general are supposed to do or can or cannot do, as shown in the scene of Ana pointing the gun at Nicholas and her aunt. Nicholas tells Paulina,
Cálmate, yo me encargo de eso. Vamos, verano, ¿para qué quieres tú una pistola? Es un juguete de muchachos, ¿no crees?
Me la dio papá. Y es mía.
By Nicholas telling Anna that guns are for boys, he is reiterating the gender roles and societal limits that are placed on women. We also see this in the scene where Anna's aunt Polina is commenting on how the girls are eating, saying that they weren't taught proper table manners.
Irene, ¿es que nadie te ha enseñado a comer como una persona? Es mejor que cojas el tenedor así. ¿Te das cuenta? Eso es. ¿Ves cómo es más fácil? Ana, por favor, el cuchillo. ¿Será posible que no sepáis comportaros en la mesa?
Once again, instilling in these girls how women should act. At the time, women were supposed to, well, really only allowed to, cook, clean, take care of the children, support their husbands, and do as they were told. Also, women were expected to act like ladies. This is the idea women should act like Ava and not Ava. These are the expectations that society put on mothers and women alike. As stated by Stephanie Wright, the gender roles of women were heavily influenced by Catholicism, which can be traced back hundreds of years to the start of the Catholic Church, where it clearly defined a man's role to be the head of the household and the breadwinner, meaning whatever the man says goes. This is why Franco incorporated religion in his national movement. Franco wanted a patriarchal society and used religions as means of achieving that. Therefore, Franco could rule as the father of the country and use religion to reinforce his power, because if anyone rebelled, they were going to hell. As shown in the scene Rosa explaining the meaning of the cross to Anna, it is evident of the importance of religion to this society.
Rosa, ¿es verdad que esta cruz la llevaba siempre mamá?
Sí, claro que es verdad. Se la regaló la abuela cuando era chica. Esta cruz te protege de los demonios.
Y de los vampiros.
Franco used religion to keep everyone loyal to the country by teaching it to children, therefore instilling in their upbringing that a man's place in society is as the head of the household.
Hoy he tenido un día tremendo. Ya. A mí me vas a venir con esas. ¿Te crees que soy tonta? No empecemos. Uno viene a casa buscando un poco de tranquilidad y se encuentra con esto. Me estás amargando la existencia.
This is seen countless times throughout the film, where young Anna is told how she must look and behave as a girl. According to Guillermo Rodriguez, children lie at the heart of Saura's encoded condemnation of Franco's patriarchal repression, to which his choice of title can attest. Saura's choice of proverb for the title of this film, "Rise Ravens, and they will pluck out your eyes," is an accurate reflection of a fascist use of language as well as an authoritarian form of speech that appears to be beyond question and is especially typical of a repressive, fearful, and conformist myth such as the Franco regime. Furthermore, the development of societal gender roles and society's expectations of motherhood during Franco's regime produced the censorship of women on a grand scale, one which Carlos Saura critiqued with his character Anna, who despite her upbringing rebelled against the fascist ideals of Francoism. Carlos Saura was unquestionably Spanish cinema's standard bearer at the time when there was a clear need for films to react against the artistic and social amnesia of the late Franco era. Since then, he has moved more to the margins, making way for subsequent generations of filmmakers who have continued to write the history of Spanish cinema. I believe Cuervos is worth watching and studying because of Carlos Saura's outstanding visual techniques and his use of the actions of the characters to reflect the people of Spain's feelings, pain, and suffering, as well as to critique Franco's regime as it came to an end. In the film, Carlos Saura uses a non-linear narrative style, dream sequences, and distorted reality techniques to explore the emotional and mental state of Anna through her childhood that had caused both internal and external conflict in her life. In a way, Anna represented the people of Spain. Similar to them, Anna was surrounded by death and as a result was impacted by her environment. Not only did Anna witness society's expectations of motherhood from a young age, but was also taught the societal gender roles that were put in place by men to censor women.